Hello YouTube and welcome to another video. In this week's video I want to talk about these new Tasmota plugs that I have just received from China, from AliExpress, and go into a little bit about that open source firmware and why I chose these particular plugs to add to my system. So when I first wrote my Monocle system, I obviously needed some controllable plugs, and originally I started off with these ones, and they were by a company called Energini, and they were just simple switch on off type plugs, so I could turn things on and I could turn them off, but that's as far as it went. And originally I used this for just switching on some known loads, like charging my e-bike battery, or charging a set of AA battery chargers, that sort of thing. And it was quickly that I realised that some things, when you turn them on, you can't tell whether they're actually pulling power or not, because for example if you switch on the battery charger and you think, okay, that's going to pull 100 watts, that's true while it's charging, but as soon as it's finished charging it's obviously going to stop and it won't be pulling any power. So I realised that when I'm trying to make calculations about how much power is left to use, I was in error, because I was assuming that something was pulling a certain amount of power because it was on, but actually sometimes it wasn't pulling any power because the batteries were already charged and it stopped, that sort of thing. So then I realised I needed some different type of plugs that I could not only switch on and off remotely, but that I could query for the amount of power that they were pulling through them. And so I found these ones, which are also by Energini. These came out a bit later, and these ones give you that ability. So you can turn them on and off, and you can send a message to them to say how much power is currently being drawn through you, and they'll send back and tell you. And that allowed me to then do things like, for example, switch on an immersion heater and see that it was pulling 2,500 watts, but then obviously once the hot water was hot it would switch off because of the thermostat, and so then it would be pulling nothing, and I'd have 2,500 watts extra power available to use for something else. And those work really well. Their only limit is the fact that they use their own proprietary wireless technology to talk between the controller and the plugs, and there's a limit to the range that can transmit over. So if I put the plugs too far away from the transmitter, I can no longer query them properly. And so I wanted to find a new type of plug that would allow me to measure power consumption as well as turn it on and off, but that would work with my house Wi-Fi network, which is much stronger and obviously covers the whole house. So that's when I found these plugs by a company called TP-Link, and these do just that. And when they first came out, they the embedded firmware within them allowed you to, or allowed me to query directly with the plug, so I could talk to the plug directly and find out the information I needed about how much power is being consumed, and then use that. And so I bought 4 of those and I put those into service, and they were working great. But when I went to buy some more of them, I found that they had since upgraded their firmware to a completely new form that was all encrypted and things, and I couldn't talk to those plugs directly anymore. You had to use their mobile phone app, which I can't integrate with. So from that point onwards, the rest of those plugs were of no use to me. And so I've been looking around since then to try and find some other kind of power plug that works on a Wi-Fi network, but that I can talk to. And I've spotted various ones over time that I tried and I couldn't talk to them, and I ended up having to send them back. And that's when just recently I found out about this firmware, open source firmware called Tasmota. And it looked to be exactly what I'm looking for. It's an open source firmware that goes on these kind of devices and allows you to talk to them directly. And what you normally need to do is download the firmware from the Tasmota website. I'll leave links in the description to all of this. And then you have to open up your device and connect some pins to it, and use a small tool to plug into your computer USB port, and you flash this Tasmota firmware onto the device to replace the firmware that was on there, and then you can use it. And so I was looking around online to try and find compatible devices that I could use, but that would also fit with my requirements. And I came across these ones that came from China, pre-flashed with Tasmota, and I thought, fantastic, you know, this saves me a lot of hassle because it's already on there. So I ordered a pack of 4 of those, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, and they finally arrived. And here's one of the boxes, yeah, I thought you know, I'd do an unboxing and have a look at how you set these up, and then maybe talk some more about what else I'm going to try as far as a other device I've got in the garden to switch on the garden lights at night. That I think might be compatible with the Tasmota firmware, and so I'm going to try and pull that out and flash that so that I can talk to that one directly as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the device. Okay, so here's the box. Now these are called Atom. I think that's how you pronounce it. And yeah, this one is supposedly capable of safely pulling 16 amps through it. So they did do a 13 amp one, but I thought I might as well oversize a little bit just for added flexibility in the future. So you get a little instruction manual to Tasmota. It gives you a link to the thingy, and basically instructions there on how to configure the device. And one of the reasons why this Tasmota is really good for me is as my monocle system uses a transport protocol called MQTT for talking between all the parts of my system, and these plugs support MQTT directly, so I don't even have to write sort of an interface for my system, because I can in fact just get these to talk directly. So there's the plug. It's quite small, which is nice and neat. Comes wrapped in this protective cellophane. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. It looks like it's got a built-in fuse, which is nice. Easy to replace if you blow it. But yeah, a nice small size. Got your on-off button on the top there, and yeah, basically when you power it up, the light will flash whenever it's communicating over Wi-Fi, which is quite nice because it gives you a little visual cue that that it is actually talking. So that's another thing I quite like about it. But yeah, let's plug it in and see what you have to do to get it configured. So I'll just switch on the plug. So it takes a few moments to just boot up, and then what you have to do is you have to connect to the plug's Wi-Fi with your phone. So the flashing means that it's waiting. So I have to go to my network, Wi-Fi, and then what I'm looking for is a Wi-Fi network called Tasmota and some numbers. Now when I tried this before, it didn't just come up, I had to actually press and hold the button for a bit, so I'll just do that. Let's see if that makes it come up. There it is. And there you go. So then all you have to do is connect it to a network. It's got a handy scan for networks here. And I will connect it to this one. And that's it, and then it reboots and it'll try to connect to the device, and then what you have to do is find out the IP address of the device being allocated by your DHCP in your home network, and then you can connect to it directly in order to configure it to how you want it. So let's just have a look at that. And I think it's probably that one. So it's one, so in my case it's ends at an 85. You can see it flashes when it's talking to the network, and if I go and press this button on the web page, I can turn it on directly from the web page. There you go, it's on, and then I can press it again and that turns it off. So I've just connected it to my low powered kettle just so you can see the power draw, and I turn it on and then you can see that it's instantly on the web page giving you a readout of how much power it's pulling, and then when I turn it off it goes back to 0. So let's have a look at configuring the MQTT. So first you have to put in the host, which for me is 166. Give it a username. I'm going to use Tasmota and be really original, and then a password, and then give the plug a topic, which I'm going to call Tasmota 3, and then the full topic that the MQTT that the plug will broadcast on, its messages. So I'm going to start it with Tasmota, and then instead of having prefix followed by the topic, I'm going to have the topic followed by prefix. So I'll just swap that around. Okay, so save that. Now bring up a bash screen, and I will subscribe to the Mosquito MQTT host, and you can see that when I press the button it comes on and you get a broadcast message on that topic, and then when I press the button again it turns off and I get another broadcast message. And if I wait for long enough, eventually you'll get a status message coming up. It takes about 5 minutes, so I've cut some out here.
And there it is. And you can also see that if I press the button manually, I get a broadcast message and to say it's on, and then if I press it again, I get another broadcast message to say that it's gone off. So that's all working as it should. So that's it for the plug. What do you think? I think they're pretty good. Yeah, really easy to use, really intuitive, and will be a welcome addition to my automation system. So, as I mentioned earlier, as well as these plugs, this Tasmota software works with all kinds of devices. So it works with these smart coloured lights, switches, sensors, all sorts of things. So I've got a remote switch for my outside garden light, and it uses again its own version of Internet of Things protocols, and I can't talk to it directly. I can only switch it on and off using their app, which is no good if my internet connection goes down, because I can't talk to their servers and their servers can't then talk to my switch. So what I want is to be able to talk to that directly, and so I want to try and install the Tasmota software on that switch. So I don't know how this is going to go, but let's have a look and see first if it's even possible. So first thing I've got to do is get the device out of the socket, open up the case and have a look whether or not it's got the required hardware inside. So let's do that now. So the first thing to do is to just make sure that I shut the power off first. So I turn it on, and you see those lights are on over there. Turn it off, they go off. So now I'll go and shut the power off from the distribution board, and then just check it again, make sure there's no power there. They're off. Turn it on. Nothing. Okay, so that's isolated. So now let me get the little unit out. So this is the little unit that we need to get out. And loads of spiders webs in here. So far so good. I have to take these out.
Now the key bit apparently is whether this matches up with the diagram I've seen on the Tasmota website, and unfortunately it looks like it doesn't. Here's a Wi-Fi module. That's the relay. Yeah, it doesn't match, so this is no good. So what I might do is, I've seen some ones that look exactly the same, same size and shape as this, that are compatible. So what I might do is just order one of those and flash it when it arrives, and then swap it over. But for now I'll put this one back into service, and I'll try and order another one. So on the Tasmota website there's a list of supported devices. And this is what I thought I had. But actually, obviously it wasn't. But I need something like that. So it'll be sort of module switches and dimmers, I guess. So yeah, I want, oh, that's a dimmer module, I want something like that. Relay boards. Switch modules. Yeah, so the plugs that I have were this Atham brand, so maybe this is the one to go for. 3-way mini relay switch module. It says it's already got Tasmota installed, which is fantastic. That's exactly what I want. Available from AliExpress. Yeah, so there you go. And this comes with Tasmota pre-flashed. So what I'll do is I'll order one of these. Yeah, so it can be used with 2 switches or with just one. So that's what I want. So I'll order one of these, and then when it arrives I'll do a video about putting that one into service. Okay, so that's it for this week. I hope you found that interesting. This Tasmota firmware seems like it's really quite versatile, and it's definitely the way to go, certainly for me and my system. MQTT support just makes it so simple to integrate it into Monocle. So yeah, I'll get that switch module ordered from AliExpress. Probably take quite a few weeks to arrive. I also noticed there's they do one for controlling the LED strips, which I use around the top of my workshed here. So I might also order one of those at the same time, and then I can also get that to change colours and do what have you. I was going to build a little unit to do it, but actually if I can order one that's got Tasmota already on it, then it just saves me a lot of effort. So I might order one of those as well, and then when they both arrive I'll make a follow-up video about integrating those in and showing how those work. So in the meantime, yeah, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Cheers.